I first acknowledge the miners, their families, friends, colleagues and the West Coast community. Then you, the Right Honourable John Key, Prime Minister, and Mrs Brona Key, Ministers of the Crown, the Honourable Bill English, Jerry Brownlee, Kate Wilkinson and Nick Smith, Speaker of the House, the Right Honourable Dr Lockwood Smith, the Honourable Phil Goff, Leader of the Opposition, Chris Ockenvold, Member of Parliament for the West Coast, and other Members of Parliament, including the Honourable Damien O'Connor, Your Worship Tony Cockshawn, Mayor of Grey District, and other local government leaders, Pike River Coal Mine Management, notably Peter Whittle, union leaders and members, Dean and members of the Diplomatic Corps, representatives of the police and the churches, distinguished guests otherwise, ladies and gentlemen. This afternoon we gather at Omoto Racecourse in the foothills of the Paparoa Range to remember the lives of the 29 miners and contractors who perished in the Pike River coal mine. I've been asked to read out some of the messages of support received from around the world. The initial one is from Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, Queen of New Zealand. My heart goes out to the families and friends of these 29 brave miners and to all who have been touched by this national disaster. I send my thanks and deep appreciation to everyone who has worked so hard to attempt a rescue, and also to those who will have a part to play in the task of healing the pain that is being felt throughout New Zealand and around the world. At this sad and difficult time, my thoughts and prayers are with you all. The next is from His Royal Highness Prince Charles and was received soon after the second explosion. We have been following the unfolding tragedy at the Pike River mine with mounting concern for all those involved ever since the terrible explosion. Our hearts go out to them and to all the people of New Zealand at such a desperately difficult time of anguish. His son, His Royal Highness Prince William, who visited New Zealand earlier this year, also offered his sympathies, and I quote him, "It was with profound sadness that I heard of the news of the second explosion at the Pike River mine. I send to the families and friends of these courageous miners my deepest and most heartfelt sympathy. To the people of New Zealand, I would say how much you are in my thoughts and prayers at this time of national tragedy." The United States Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, wrote, "On behalf of the people of the United States, I offer heartfelt condolences to the families of the miners who died in the Pike River mine explosion and all those affected by this tragedy. New Zealand has lost 29 brave and hard-working men who will be mourned around the world. You have come through adversity before, and I know you will do so again. Today our thoughts and prayers are with you." The Prime Minister of Australia, the Honourable Julia Gillard, released a statement saying in part as follows: "Our hearts go out to them, and on behalf of the Australian people, I give the condolences of this nation. We want you to understand that the nation is grieving with you at this dreadful and difficult time." Several Pacific leaders also wrote to Government House. They included the head of state of Samoa, His Highness Tuiatua Tupua Tamasese. Through this message, I share in the grieving families, the people and the government of New Zealand, their anguish, sadness and pain over the Pike River mine tragedy. You are very much in our thoughts and prayers. The President of Timor-Leste, His Excellency Dr. Jose Ramos Horta, wrote on the day of the second explosion as follows: I lament this misfortune, as this truly is a national tragedy. On behalf of the people of Timor-Leste, I extend our profound condolences to the relatives of the miners and to the people of New Zealand. Another letter came from the President of Singapore, His Excellency Selapan Ramanathan. I read with a heavy heart the news that the miners in Greymouth had perished following the explosions that occurred on 19 and 24 November 2010. Please accept my deepest condolences and sympathies for the tragic loss of lives. There have also been letters of support from many other world leaders, including the Presidents of Italy and Greece, the Queen of the Netherlands, the King of Belgium, the King of Jordan, His Holiness the Pope, the Archbishop of Canterbury, the Secretary-General of the Commonwealth, and the President of the European Commission. These messages from around the world are echoed by all New Zealanders who feel enormous sympathy for the families of those who died. At 3:45 on Friday, 19 November 2010, the lives of the families and friends of those who died in the mine were changed forever. 5 days later, all hopes for a miracle were cruelly dashed when the second explosion occurred. Although those who died remain within the mine, they are represented today by 29 tables, each carrying a helmet, a lamp, and a miner's name. Their deaths are not individual events. Each of the men who went to work that morning left behind parents and grandparents, wives and partners, sons and daughters, aunts and uncles, nieces, nephews, cousins, and friends who will never see them again. Working underground in a mine is hard and difficult work. The men who died at Pike River endured those hardships to get ahead, to feed and clothe their families, and to help their children get a good education. While the work was hard, like all those who work in the mines, they toiled at it with pride. Many came from families where generation after generation have worked in the mines. At this time, we also remember their commitment to an industry that has given much to New Zealand. The tragedy at the Pike River coal mine will have far-reaching effects. However, the events of the last 2 weeks will be felt most keenly in all parts of the West Coast, and particularly here in Greymouth. It is a community where people know each other. Each of those who died was also a workmate, a friend, a neighbour, an old school buddy, a member of a local rugby or rugby league team, someone across the aisle at church, or someone who shopped in the local shops and supermarkets. The severing of all those connections, and in such dramatic circumstances, has left a wound that may take years to heal. but it is that same sense of community and of being connected which will help this town and region to overcome its collective grief. The West Coast has had more than its share of tragedies and upheavals, but every time gritty and stoic resilience has seen it rebound. The families of those who died and the people of the West Coast need to know that you do not stand alone. All New Zealanders grieve with you and support you as you remember your loved ones. Today we grieve for those we have lost. We all await the time when they can be laid to rest. Tomorrow and in the days and weeks ahead, let this terrible event be the starting point from which we work to find the answers to our questions and draw lessons for the future. In this way, we will do justice to their memory and honour their lives. Moe mai koutou e te moenga roa. Sleep the long sleep, men. No reira, tēnā koutou, kia ora, kia kaha, tēnā koutou katoa. Greetings, good health, and fortitude for you all.